Third lesson in the book of Daniel. It's fall semester 2021. We're looking at the fourth beast. I think last week when I looked at this. Is that right? Is that look familiar?
Everything I have is judged by Christ, Daniel 7.
Oh, okay. You have this. Okay. Yeah. So the next thing is the judgment of the fourth beast. Now, with the fourth beast here, we know that it's the Roman Empire, and we know it's actually the revived Roman Empire that began at the rapture, at the tribulation period. And this is a 10-nation confederacy that immediately comes into power. The beast with 10 horns, great words will come from the little horn, and that, of course, is the Antichrist in chapter 7. It's Antichrist, and just to put emphasis on that, remember there are two little horns, but this one is the Antichrist. Slain and given to the burning flame. So when Jesus comes back, we have the beast is defeated. The little horn, Antichrist, will be slain and given to the burning flame. The others, of course, Jesus is upon his return. So the other kingdoms have no more power. There are all powers taken away. The chart on the wall there, remember the stone comes down. Daniel talked about the stone that defeats the kingdoms. So the little horn is cast in the fire. We know false prophet as well. The dominion of the other leaders, world leaders, will be taken away. Their lives will be prolonged for a season and a time. Now, meaning that when Jesus comes back, the moment he comes back, the first thing that happens, Antichrist, false prophet, going to lake of fire. Then the rest of the world begins gathering themselves together. So Jesus doesn't destroy them immediately. They gather together to that side of the world, lies prolonged for a season at a time. Then their judgment will come, where they are cast into hell. So Daniel, in chapter 7, sees one like the Son of Man, where Jesus coming back, with clouds of heaven. These clouds are mentioned many times in the New Testament in reference to events such as the baptism of Jesus, caught under clouds. Jesus ascended up into the clouds in Acts chapter 1. I tend to believe, and I can't prove this from exact words in the Bible, but we know in Ezekiel it talks about the cloud coming from the Ark of the Covenant and then ascending up into heaven. And we know who that cloud is, the Shekinah, what we call the Shekinah glory, the presence of God. So I believe then at the baptism of Jesus, the cloud is actually the presence of God, the cloud. At the rapture or second coming, it'd be the cloud, the presence of God. When Jesus comes back, of course, he has dominion, glory, and a kingdom. The Millennial Kingdom begins. All people, nations, and languages would serve him. And we have no indication in the Millennial Kingdom that everybody will speak the same language. Now, in heaven, I would assume we would. I'm pretty sure I read somewhere that the language in heaven will actually be West Virginian, so you'll need to know what a holler is.
Do you know, I meant to ask you last week, do you know any Englands from West Virginia? England is the last.
Last name England. Can't think of any, no.
Okay, okay.
Where Jesus' dominion, everlasting dominion. His kingdom obviously will never be destroyed. Yeah, it seemed like there was in England.
He was a military, man, was in the military for over 30 years, I think, and traveled all over. And the family was pretty big. Still, well, some of them are still there. He's dead now. He died about 7 years ago, but his family's still there.
I seem like my sister, I had a sister, Rita, that was friends with somebody named England.
Uh-huh.
Mm.
Saying you didn't meet Mark, did you? Denise's husband?
No, I
No, you
did
didn't.
not.
Uh-huh.
I think somebody called Clyde England. Clyde, wasn't it? No,
I know, but it's a big family.
Yeah.
Yeah. And some of them work at the mines or something, like some of the ones in the family.
Yeah.
A lot of them work at the mine.
Yeah. The understanding here in chapter 7 and the effect that it had upon Daniel, he was very much troubled by what he saw in the vision. And, you know, I think we ought to think about that. Why was he so troubled? Because Daniel's witnessing events that's going to take place where who knows how many in his mind are going to die. You know, and he's taking this very seriously. He's not looking at just his numbers. I mean, you know, we could sit at a dinner table, and if the TV's on, look at the news, and the news just said 100,000 in Haiti are homeless because of the earthquakes. And we say how terrible that is, and then turn around and make a joke about meatloaf on the table and laugh. And in a way, it's a defense mechanism. I understand why, you know, because we're totally devastated about everything that happened. All the bad things going on in the world today, we'd be devastated all the time, and I get that. But he's concentrating on this event of the tribulation period as though it's real, and we should too, because it is real. It's going to happen, and loved ones, you know, friends of ours, or may end up going in the tribulation period, and who knows what's going to happen. So he's grieved in the spirit, troubled. Daniel said, I was grieved in my spirit in the midst of my body, and the visions in my head troubled me. I came near unto one of them that stood by and asked him the truth of all this. So he told me, he made me know the interpretation of the things. And so I don't get it, what's going on there? It says the information provided by one that stood by. He said, I came here unto them, one of them that stood by, and asked him the truth of all this. So he told me, make no interpretation of the things. Now, I don't know what this one was. It could have been an angel, like Gabriel. We know Daniel did talk to Gabriel. Could have been a saint. Remember, at the tomb of Jesus, the ones in the white robes, the Bible, in two of the accounts of the life of Christ, refer to the ones at the tomb as angels, and two of the books refer to them as the men or young man.
One book says messengers.
Yeah, because angels, it just means messenger. And by context, we can discern, since the ones at the tomb were wearing white, we know that was a saint. Right? Whereas this one doesn't give a description, so it could have been a saint that God allowed to do this, and it could have been an angel itself. And the four beasts, of course, represents four kingdoms. These great beasts, which are four kings. So, how do we know that the beasts are four kings? How we know?
Scripture tells us.
Yep, it tells us, it defines it. So, we don't have to guess. We don't have to guess what the 10 horns are. We know they're 10 kingdoms, because the Bible tells us that. And here, there's no guess. When I say that the lion is a kingdom, I'm not guessing. The Bible tells me that. They'll rise out of the earth, but the saints of the Most High shall take the kingdom and possess the kingdom forever, even forever and ever. And of course, this is the millennial kingdom then at that point. Daniel desired to know about the fourth beast. He would have had understanding of the first two personally, of Babylon and Medo-Persia. He was alive during that time. The third beast he had no personal knowledge of, but the fourth one's what interests him. The 10 horns on his head. I realize these images here are a little cartoonish, but it helps us to get a picture in our head. His eyes of the mouth speaking great words. Of course, his appearance greater than the others. He extremely charismatic person, able to defeat 3 of the horns. Again, this takes place soon after the tribulation period begins. The 10 nations come up. I don't know how long it's going to take. It could be a couple of months, a few months. We don't know. Could be 6 months. But very soon, Antichrist defeats 3 of them. The 10 horns, 10 nations. How do we know? Well, the 10 horns out of this kingdom are 10 kings that shall arise. And another shall rise after them. And he shall be diverse or different from the first, and he shall subdue 3 kings. So again, no guessing as to what this is. The 10 kingdoms, 10 kings come up. Another one, as we read before, the little horn, chapter 7, will arise out of one of those. So you have 10 kingdoms, 10 rulers. Then the Antichrist shows up in one of those kingdoms. He's not the ruler, but he's a little horn who comes up and takes over that kingdom. So there's still 10 kingdoms left. 3 kingdoms oppose him, and he destroys them. He might destroy just the leaders. Excuse me. He could actually destroy the whole kingdom themselves and blow them out. For all we know, it doesn't make a difference. If he just destroys the kings, then he takes over those kingdoms. So there still could be, after he defeats the 3 of those kings, there still could be 10 kingdoms, but he rules over 4 of them. And then you have 6 others, so 7 rulers. So defeats 3, leaves 7. Daniel said, I beheld, and the same horn made war with the saints and prevailed against them. So those who get saved in the tribulation period are not going to get along with the Antichrist. Antichrist will do what he can to defeat them, and of course by the middle of the tribulation period, in order to buy and sell, you'll have to receive a mark. and those who get saved will be betrayed by their family members. And they might go to their family members asking for food, and family members turn them in, could get a reward for doing that. We get more food for turning them in, who knows. And they'll go on, though, throughout the tribulation period until Jesus comes back, the Ancient of Days. And the Antichrist is going to win the battle against the saints. Not like they're going to be able to overthrow him and defeat him. There will be quite a bit of suffering.
Broad is the way.
Yeah. Remember, talking about Matthew talks about in the middle of the tribulation period, that when the Antichrist proclaims himself to be God, God gives a great warning at that point. It says, and when you see the abomination of desolation takes place, you need to flee immediately. You know, woe unto them that are with child. Why? Because if you're with child, you have to gather the child's stuff up, you have to take care of the child, you have to try to get it, escape with that child. Much more difficult to do that. Because you have to leave town then. Because when Antichrist proclaims himself to be God, immediately after that is when the war takes place in heaven with Michael and Satan fighting. Michael kicks Satan out of heaven down to the earth. When he kicks him down to the earth, Satan takes out his wrath upon Israel and the world, primarily Israel at that point. And a great earthquake occurs in Jerusalem. 7,000 people die from that earthquake. And if you're in Jerusalem and Antichrist proclaims himself to be God, how long you got? And then you flee. I don't know, the Bible says flee to the mountains, caves. I did not know this until Osama bin Laden, when they were trying to find him. But there are thousands of caves in Afghanistan and throughout the Middle East there, that some of them are uncharted. They don't even know where they go to. And that's why they thought he could be hiding in one of those caves. Turned out he was in Pakistan, but I guess he could have been there for a while too, I don't know. That might be the place where the Bible talks about them fleeing too. Because if they're uncharted, you might be able to go and hide and live through the next 3.5 years until Jesus comes back. You might. Fourth kingdom, devour, trample it, and break it in pieces. Jesus here is going to come destroy it. That's the second coming. So immediately the Antichrist, false prophet, cast in the lake of fire for a short period of time. The Bible says a season. Those remaining will stay alive until the time comes when the two of them are filled, the one taken, the other left, which is not the rapture, but the second coming. Those are cast into hell at that point. So the fourth beast shall be the fourth kingdom upon the earth, which shall be diverse. They're different from all the kingdoms before it. Shall devour the whole earth, and shall tread it down, break it in pieces. So, whereas Babylon and Medo-Persia and Greek, they were just in that parts of the earth. The Roman Empire here, the Antichrist, will cover the whole earth. And 10 horns out of this kingdom are 10 kings that shall rise, and those shall rise. Verse 25, the Antichrist will speak great words against the Most High, shall wear out the saints. But the judgment shall sit, and they shall take away his dominion to consume and destroy it unto the end. And the kingdom and dominion and the greatness of the kingdom and the whole heaven shall be given to the people of the saints. So the world here will be given to the saints of the Most High, whose kingdom is an everlasting kingdom, and all dominion shall serve and obey him. Meaning that we will be back with Jesus in our glorified bodies. We will rule and reign throughout the earth wherever God appoints us during that time. The saints who survive the tribulation period will enter into the millennial kingdom and start burying the dead for 7 months, start destroying weapons of war for 7 years, having children, in their normal physical bodies like we have today, living though to be 1,000 more years. There will be death in the millennial kingdom, and a lot of people think that once the millennial kingdom starts, nobody will die. But you can't die. In fact, the Bible even says that if a family has a child that teaches things that are not true, that the family has a responsibility to put that child to death during that time. So there will be some death, not like it is today, but on some occasion death. But as far as, like I say, like nowadays, no. The Roman Empire ruled the Mediterranean world. The Bible, Revelation talks about the fourth beast comes from the sea, from the Mediterranean. And just kind of a repeat of what we're talking about here, just to emphasize the ten kingdoms rise up, which is the fourth kingdom. Antichrist comes on. Remember, what God is going to have, what God wants, is the exact same thing that Satan wants. Because if God wants it, Satan wants it. God wants a one-world government. That will happen in the millennial kingdom. The Antichrist tries to get it first in the tribulation period. Look at the little horn concerning his reign here. It'll be different from the first kings. He'll still be a human being. That's what Revelation 13 says, that his number will be 666, which is the number of a man. And so Revelation 13 confirms that all that's doing, that 666 number that people are so afraid of, is simply a statement that the Antichrist will be human. Mankind's number is 666. For whatever reason, and that's the only number in the Bible that meaning is given to. No other number in the Bible, 7 or 3 or 40. While you may find those in certain numbers in the Bible, for whatever reason, 40 appears quite often, there's still nothing attributed to that in the Bible. So I'm not going to say 40 means this or that, or 3 is the number of God, or the Bible doesn't say that. But it does tell us 636 is the number of man. So, subdue 3 kings, blasphemy against God, power given unto him, persecute the saints, and to gain victory over them. Number 5, Daniel talks about he will try to change times and law. He would change the calendar around. Who knows? in number 6 there it says, in whose hands the saints shall be given for a time, times, and a half time. And from other passages, we can gather what this means is, a time is a year, times would be 2 years, and then a half a time. So 1 year plus the time for 1 year times is 2 years, so that's 3 years and a half, 3.5 years. Well, that fits the other passage as well. It fits the 1260 days that are mentioned for the last half of the tribulation, which is 3.5 years. The tribulation 7 years, which is 2,520 days, divided into 3.5 and 3.5. We'll stop right there.